we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. We hit the halfway mark of the playoffs. It's time to talk region championships 4A style. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Sideline to sideline, the Class 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing and a host of other sponsors that we'll talk about here in a minute. I've got to do everything. We have some special stuff that we're going to be doing for y'all today. First off, how you doing, Mr. Goodwin?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Ready for these region finals, man. Should be some good ones. Some that are kind of hard to pick.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely 4A. We've talked about it all year, you know, outside of maybe Carthage. And even then, we'll talk about that too. But first off, we had a blast on our trip. We went down to Houston for a doubleheader, 4A, Kilgore versus Needville, the early game. And then we finished with Belleville and Silsbee. Silsbee is yet to show up for that game. Speaking of, you know, last week you talked to the playoff tree, and I kind of need to talk to the playoff tree too, because, you know, playoff tree, you know, I've been to 2 Belleville playoff games, and both of these games we thought were going to be competitive. And yet both of these games we left before halftime. Playoff tree, why have you forsaken us?
Well, sorry about that, Terry. Before I get into that, I just want to thank you for packing me up and taking me down to the spring Houston area for those 2 games. It was great. Got to see Needville and Kilgore in the aforementioned game, Belleville and Silsbee. It was great. I don't get out that much. It was awesome that you brought me. It made me feel really special. The only thing that was really weird the whole weekend was, look, I'm a green tree. But you made me sleep in the bed with you. I could have easily slept my tree bag, but you made me sleep in the bed with you, and I woke up a flocked tree.
Wait, okay, first off, it started way earlier than that. You were very, very rude to our waitress at the restaurant we went to. You kept trying to tell her to touch your lights and, hey, you want to play with my fig and all that. So let's not act like you were Mr. Innocent in this, Mr. Playoff Tree.
Well, I mean, I said, look, you see these little pine cones down here? I know you've got some pimples on your buttocks, and Grant's really looking at them, and he's getting off on them. But don't let that scare you away from touching these little pine cones, because, what, you're giving me the no.
Okay.
Is this too much?
No. Okay, look, let's go back to why have you forsaken us? Why have you given us 2 Belleville blowouts? You promised me last week that Silsbee was going to give them everything that they could handle. What happened?
Well, Terry, when 2 adults love each other, especially a male, he'll take his appendix out of his trunk and he will shove it in the other receiving partner. Well, Belleville must have really loved Silsbee because they shoved it in and I think they broke it off in there.
Okay, I can't play off tree. We're done.
That guy's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why you insisted on
Who's
it.
worse, Playoff Tree or Coach X?
Oh man, I don't know, but it is early in the show, and
listen, X gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own.
This is the Coach X. He's a real coach in the state of Texas. He actually called in though on these. So here's his diatribe.
I gave him the wrong number. I can't believe he called in.
Well, yeah, he called in. Give him credit for that. But he called in, and so hang on. I got to set this up. I got to hit play over here.
Do we have a phone line?
Yeah,
open for him?
Hang on, I got touch screen. I gotta put on my virtual and go into the.
Oh wow,
Okay.
It's we. That's all you're doing is we.
Yes, we. Here we go, Coach X. How can the third round be the original round of the playoffs if there's still one more round before you're the regional champion? Like, I keep hearing this round is the state quarterfinals, and the last round was the regional round, yet we're still in the region and have no champion of said region until this game is over. So be happy you're playing the regional championship, and don't try to do what Joe Dirt did and church it up by putting an E on the end of his name. Live by Joe's motto: life's a garden, dig it, make it work, on with the picks. Oh, and piss off Grant one more time and play my music.
Listen. X gon' give it to you.
I'm not as scared of him as I was at all.
I never, we've talked to him before, and I know he's used a voice modifier, and he said this time he was calling in all natural.
Mhm.
I can see why his punt and shoot offense isn't working. If you're the left guard, are you going to really trust that voice whenever he's trying to tell you to run,
Well, the problem is with his punt and shoot, when they're punting, he's trying to run traps. But his guards are pulling. Don't need to do that, man.
Oh, that's why every team he plays breaks their punt block record for every game.
No need to run the influence on that.
Oh, you can tell it's the last show, and also you can tell that we might have found something on the board that we didn't know we had. I mean, we knew we had it, but I hadn't really played around, and we accidentally found some cool stuff in the 3A show. But let's get into it. Class 4A Division 1. That's what we're doing here. We're going to start in Region 1. We've got two teams we kind of felt would be here. Brownwood 12-1 versus Decatur 9-4. This game is Friday, Waco's McLean Stadium. How Texas is that the Region 1 championship game is being played firmly in Region 3? But what do you think about this game?
Man, Brownwood 12-1, Decatur 9-4. Brownwood just relies heavily on iCall.
Yeah.
A quarterback. They found a really good receiver in Carson No, though, that kind of stretches the field for him a little bit.
Yeah, he had a couple touchdowns in the last game.
Yeah. If they can find a running game to really complement No and Hall, I think they have a really good chance. The problem is and this defense for Brownwood, though, was very good when we saw them against Stephenville. Remember?
Yeah, even before the quarterback got hurt, they were playing really good.
They were pretty salty.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think this Decatur offense might be a better offense than what Stephenville's was, with Nate Palmer, Landon Feltz at quarterback, and Antoine Gilbreth at receiver. I think Decatur wins this ball game, but it is by a slimmest margins of 3 to maybe 7 points.
Yeah, Nate Palmer last week, 224 yards, 5 touchdowns. The team ran.
He's a special running back.
Oh, yeah, and the team ran for 331 yards. Brownsville defense, though, last week, a team high.
Wow.
I mean, Brownsville, that's what I wrote on my notes. That gummit. Brownwood's defense last week against Springtown, they jumped out to a 20-7 lead.
Mm-hmm.
Springtown made it 20-17. It felt like they were in it. And then Brownwood started creating turnovers, and they got 4 turnovers. That was the difference. And if they're going to beat Decatur, they've got to do the same thing. Yeah. I don't think they can beat Decatur in a clean game for Decatur. I think if you're going to win, if you're Brownwood, you've got to win with Decatur coughing the ball up. And I just don't think
unless they
will.
Find a running game outside of
at this point, if you haven't found
it. Though, iCall is one special dude.
Oh, yeah,
they can do it on both sides of the ball. So Decatur's not out of the
Decatur's
woods.
going to give up points. I mean, they've done it all year. They're going to give up points. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, the teams that Decatur have given up points to have been really, really good offenses. I just feel like Decatur's a little bit more, and I'm not saying Brownwood played a weak schedule. Please don't take that. Sometimes people take what we say and flip it on us.
Decatur's played a very tough schedule.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that's what I was trying to say. I think Decatur's played a tougher schedule. I'm not saying Brownwood hasn't played a tough schedule. I just think Decatur's schedule from top to bottom has been just way tougher. And now you can make the case that their playoff run maybe hasn't been. It broke well where they got Dumas, Andrews, and then Estacada. I went with them last week. I thought maybe they had figured it out, but they didn't.
Well, when you're one of the 2 classes in this region, everything's going to seem like an easy round.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Brownwood and Decatur, who couldn't see it coming, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's see what Coach X has to say. Springtown got the wood taken to them last week, which is cool because, like on Beavis and Butthead, Beavis would say boing for wood. Beavis laughed. Man, the 90s were awesome. Chili Bowl haircuts, Zach Morris style, Kelly Kapowski walking in her jeans, and Brownwood winning games. Just like now, except there is no Zach and Kelly anymore. Although Zach is in that show where he kidnapped a girl and now she gets him back by kidnapping him.
What show is
that?
What? You got to remind me when you're going to talk there. Yeah, he's on this new show where he kidnaps a girl, but he's kidnapping her for reasons to save her. But that's the whole. It's actually I've seen the first 2 episodes. It's actually really, really good. Although Zach, if you know who kidnapped, you just call the police. End of show. Lions win. Why did he say it's surprising? He surprised himself right there that he thinks the Lions are going to win.
So he's got Brownwood. We both have Decatur. We think Decatur will take on the winner of Stephenville 11-2 and 12-1 over at North Richland Hills Fine Arts facility in Birdville.
Great place.
To watch.
Maybe to me the best place right now going to DFW outside of the couple of the regulars.
Yeah,
so
it is. Man, Stephenville in a dogfight against Salina last week, a defensive dogfight. If there was ever a question, and there was a question about Stephenville's defense earlier in the year, right? They answered the bell.
Can I pat myself on the back? It wasn't a 20-point win, but I specifically said that Stephenville would win with ease.
But you said it wasn't with ease.
Yeah, I said Stephenville would win by 21 points.
Yeah, what was the score?
7-3. But my whole point was I ended it with I don't think Salina will be able to move the ball on Stephenville, and they weren't. I mean that's
okay, but it wasn't 21 points.
Well, no, but I mean it was 7-3. My point was is Stephenville wasn't going to get scored a bunch like everybody was saying, like because they were talking about Salina's running game, and I felt Stephenville had played better offenses and played well. By the way.
I still don't. I mean, I pat you on the back for saying Stephenville will win, but it did call 21.
But if it would have been 48-47, I would say okay. But I specifically said the reason I thought they would win that bad because I didn't think Salina would be able to score on them.
I got you. But I did get that.
I want to give credit to sophomore linebacker Hudson Bucci. He had 23 tackles, 17 solo tackles.
Wow.
Now, I know coaches, sometimes you get those weird tackles where if the guy just kind of falls near the pile, but usually when a coach says it's a solo tackle, that's a pretty good thing. He also forced a fumble and had a sack. And Salina did move the ball at times. They got in the red zone and Stephenville's defense, and we saw that with Brownwood. Mm-hmm. Stephenville's defense, man, when
Stephenville's defense has to, they bow up.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Very good situation.
Now, in saying that, Anna, wow. Jacob Emmers last week went off 160 yards, just absolutely dominated Panther Creek through the air, and they needed every point. In the last 2 minutes, these two teams traded touchdowns. Panther Creek went up. Looked like they were going to win 38-35, and then Anna goes right down the field and scores with a couple minutes left to win 42-38. This is going to be the best offense that Stephenville's played, and Stephenville's played some great offenses.
Yeah, they have. Zeandre Williams at quarterback has just been lights out for Anna, and then he's got two really good receivers, Sean Steens and Ronald Bell, who really stretch the field. Right?
Well, and Emmers is their stud.
Well, yeah, he is, but I'm just adding on.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you.
But when you've got the whole defense having to turn their back, or at least the exterior and the back end of the defense having to turn their back on the line of scrimmage to cover these guys, Zeandre Williams just guts you.
Well, and
that's the problem that Stephenville's going to have. Now, I know Stephenville's, Ryan Gafford, quarterback, has been great all year with Tristan Gentry at quarterback or receiver, Tate Mariska at running back, and I think Stephenville's only really shot to shorten the game is with Tate Mariska here.
And we don't, he's been banged up all year too.
Yeah, he has, but they've got to shorten the game.
I agree. I totally agree. And, we talked about this in the 2A show with Toller. Peyton Brown missed a lot of the season, and it forced them to find other people. Jacob Emmers missed a lot of the season. It forced them to find other people. And then when he gets reinserted in the offense, it's like it's an extra beat.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you saw that last week. I was watching some of
it's like CeeDee Lamb being out for
the
Cowboys, right?
And you figure out other people, and then when you put him back in, he adds it. And I was watching some of that film, and there were a couple of those plays. Emmers was wide open on broken coverages that I don't think that would have happened if he had been there all year long and he was their main focal point on offense. I love what Stephenville's done. I would love to say Stephenville versus Brownwood. I think we all would love that. one of the biggest rivalries actually meeting in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, Decatur and Anna, in my opinion, are just a little bit. But I do think both of these games are extremely close, extremely exciting, and definitely most likely comes down to both of them being one possession games.
Yeah. So you and I both have it Anna versus Decatur in the state semifinals. What does Coach X say?
Well, hang on. I got to pull his stuff up. We're having some technical issues here. Hang on. Let me go back to the virtual world. And what? Coach, I accidentally hit his play record. Hang on. Here we go. So listen here one time. After a night at City Limits, I met a girl named Anna, and man, that was a good night. I white smoked my tires to get her attention, and it also attracted the attention of Erith County Sheriff Matt Coates. He said, "Hey, Coach X, what the hell are you doing on my streets? We don't take kindly to that kind of behavior here." I pointed to Anna, and he said, "Say no more. Get it, get it. Give me the jackets in this one."
Do you think Coach X was the Camaro and White Snake guy?
I think that's what he was pretending as he was driving a 78 Ford Pinto, that if he got rear-ended too hard, and he does love to get rear-ended hard, it'd blow up on him.
I don't know about that.
I'm just saying it, man.
Whatever. Tell us.
Wait, what? Why are you turning this on me?
I'm not turning anything on
dude.
you.
Like,
I thought
he
likes to get rear-ended. I didn't know anything about that.
I thought this year we had some solidarity. It was like me and you against Coach X finally, when y'all have kind of picked on me for the last couple of years after he picked on you. And here you go. You kowtow to him so much. Between him and the playoff tree, I don't even feel like I exist anymore in your eyes. All right, let's go to Region 3. We got Kilgore 12-1, Chapel Hill 11-2, Friday 7 p.m. at Longview's Lobo Stadium. A rematch of the District 9-4A matchup that saw Kilgore thump Chapel Hill. All right, we saw Kilgore versus Needville.
Mm-hmm.
First off, great game. The score ended up being 35-14, but Kilgore pulled away in the second half. In that first half, Needville gave them everything they could handle, and you could kind of see, though, that the depth of Kilgore was wearing them down. In fact, Kilgore lost their quarterback. Now, supposedly, he could have gone back in if
kind
needed.
of a hip pointer.
Yeah, we saw him. I don't know if he could have gone back in. Some people are saying that he looked.
He might have been.
He was in pain.
He was in pain the first in the second quarter.
Yeah,
in the third quarter when he came back, he was walking fine. He was in in pads, but I think it would be fine. But let's just assume he's not there.
Okay.
That backup quarterback, and I can't remember his name, number 11. Yeah, sophomore, came in and played beautifully. And you know why he played beautifully? Because he has a great offensive line in front of him that has some grown-ass men in front of him.
He made one mistake, and I think that was more of an – and we're not knocking the coach. I think that was more of they went to the well one too many times on he's got
that one interception.
Yeah. And they kind of used that little quick hitch a few times, and good job by Needville. They kind of snuck the corners up and the corners up. And so they classic, rookie mistake. He shouldn't have thrown it when he threw it. But other than that touchdown throw that he had of that little dropped it over the receivers. He's going into that corner of the end zone. Senior quarterbacks can't make that. Their passing game for the future, Kilgore's good.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be special.
And they can pound the rock. And that's what they did to beat this Needville team. Needville wants to pound the rock and then get the Sweeney kid out on the edges from the quarterback, the dual threat quarterback.
And he got one in the second quarter.
But this Kilgore defense limited everything that they wanted to do for the most part.
Well,
right? And Kilgore right now is starting to look like a state finalist to me.
I wonder if, we were wondering in the second half what happened. I wonder if Deshaun Burton might have got beaten up because he was having his way in the first half. He had 108 yards on the game. And I bet 85 of that came in the first half.
Yeah.
But in the second half, they just weren't going to him. And I just wonder if maybe he was beat up or maybe they were just trying to. But either way.
Maybe so, but I don't think Deshaun Burton was going to beat Kilgore even in the first half. I never thought Deshaun Burton
was 14-14.
Well, I know, but I was looking at this and I saw Needville running Burton, and Burton was getting positive yards, but there was nothing that told me that Burton was going to be able to beat this Kilgore defense with Kilgore being able to move the ball like they could on offense.
Maybe.
I just never thought that.
I get that totally.
Yeah.
I just wonder what happened in the second half.
Yeah,
That's
maybe they just think thought they needed, bigger plays because they did. They did need bigger plays.
I don't know. I mean, you go into half tied, I'd feel like, hey, we're having success. Let's keep doing the same thing. But anyway, Kilgore advances. They take on Chapel Hill, who had a huge win. I mean, I know all wins at this point are huge, but I think Iowa Colony had replaced Chapel Hill as Chapel Hill was the region favorite going in.
I picked Iowa Colony.
I did too. And I think they had become the hot new team, and some of it, or a lot of it, deserve it. And also Chapel Hill this year, we talked about it. I talked about it with NETSN Brett on the 9-4A show. By the way, that'll be up. We're going to record that tomorrow for this week. Chapel Hill, I don't think has really progressed as a team. I think they're about where they were last year. The thing is that's good enough to get them where they are this year.
Well, they might have started progressing here in the playoffs. So I think that was a huge win over Iowa Colony. I think they went in firmly as an underdog against Iowa Colony. I really do.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, especially what Iowa Colony did to Lindale, and look at what Lindale did to Chapel Hill.
Yep.
You had to think that Iowa Colony would at least beat Chapel Hill by 7 to 14 points.
Yep.
Did not happen. Chapel Hill pulls away. The athleticism of Chapel Hill just out athletes Iowa Colony.
And you know what they did? It's, we think in our mind, Chapel Hill, we think of high flying. I mean, run the ball, but you think of big plays and big plays and big plays. And what they did against Iowa Colony is they grounded them down.
Yeah.
50 rushing yards for 338 yards. 50 for 338 yards. You had Brisbane, the quarterback, have his normal 194. Ricky Stewart, 118. But Jabbo Cook, 6 carries, 71 yards. I mean, this is that when they play like this, and Brisbane threw for only 98 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. When they play like this, turnover free, you don't make a lot of mistakes, you control the line of scrimmage, I will still contend that it's going to be hard for any team in this division to beat Chapel Hill.
Yeah, much like Dangerfield.
Dangerfield down there. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, they're mirror images as far as teams when they don't make mistakes, they're hard to beat.
Yeah.
Dangerfield's hard to beat when they don't make mistakes. Chapel Hill, hard to beat when they don't make mistakes. Now, against Kilgore,
that's the issue. I don't know if this is a good matchup for Chapel Hill.
Well, I think it could be. I think they can get the edge on Kilgore, right? But they cannot turn the ball over.
Well, for me, yeah, good point. Again, that's what we said. But for me, the issue with Chapel Hill in this game isn't the offense. I do think they perform better than they did against Kilgore in district. But again, I go back to Kilgore's offense can Chapel Hill figure out how not to be ground down by them? Because that's what happened in that first game.
That speaks to the superiority of Kilgore on the interior on both the offensive line and defensive line.
Dude, that's 66 for Kilgore on offense is a beast of a man.
There's 3 beasts of a man on Kilgore's offensive line. And I think Kilgore will own the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball here. I think it will be closer because I think that Chapel Hill will hopefully come out and play a cleaner game, but I still like Kilgore by 7 points.
You know what? I'm going to go Chapel Hill. I'm going to say they figured it out on offense. I think they were held to 89 rushing yards against Kilgore, but I'm going to say that they don't turn the ball over. I don't know if they stop Kilgore. I think the last game was 39-16. I think this is a more of a situation where Chapel Hill scores more. They still give up points. I like Chapel Hill to win. And I don't know. This now it's weird because now this feels like it'd be an upset if Chapel Hill won, just because of how they both played in the first game, but also how Kilgore's played through the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Chapel Hill with a little bit of upset. Hang on, let me get the record button ready and get this phone call to make sure. Here's Coach X, and here's what he has to say. Hey, where are we on the AIDS mascot thing? Terry, are you on that? Bennett High School, home of the AIDS. There ain't no cure for what we've got. Taking on their rivals, Goodwin High School, home of the fighting gonorrhea. Give them a shot. That would be awesome. Sell tens of tickets to that powerhouse matchup. But we got to find out who the real Bulldogs are on Friday. Kilgore is pretty damn good, but so is Chapel Hill, and they lasted longer than Lindale in the playoffs, so I like them. Give me Chapel Hill. So, Coach, what else weird?
What do you think Playoff Tree has to say?
No, not right now.
I don't care.
No.
I don't care.
All right. Playoff Tree, what do you have to say?
Well, I mean, Grant didn't care, and you don't care, so why am I even making a pick, you a-holes? Like, I don't know, I guess Kilgore? But again, I just want to be wanted. I don't need you dudes to sit here and say you don't want me. I'm just a tree sitting here in front of a stupid ass banner. If you want to hear from me, I want it to be mutual. I want Grant and Terry to both want to hear my input. So I'm taking Kilgore, and screw you, Terry.
Why do we have so many needy people on this show between Coach X, you, and the damn tree?
I'm not needy.
Son of a bitch. I swear to goodness. All right, let's now go down to the last game in Class 3A or Class 4A Division 1. Hey, this is one we all picked out, right? San Antonio Davenport 10-3 versus Port Lavaca Calhoun 9-4.
I don't think we.
Now, I did pick Davenport versus Bernie in the region championship. I did get one of those right. But
I
anyway.
did too.
No, I'm serious. In the
I did too.
Big Arts
Though.
Play
I'm
show.
pretty sure. Go check the tape.
What do you think about this game? Go check the tape.
Yeah. So look, Calhoun, Jace Campos, Derek Salinas, both at running back, have been tearing it up. Right. The thing about Davenport, though, is they've got a really good quarterback in Tristan Hamlin that I don't think this Calhoun defense can handle.
Yeah, I agree. I look, Port Lavaca is going to try to slow them down with their slot, and they're going to try to grind them out. And Davenport's a big team with a lot of depth. I don't know if you can do that with them. And we talked about that was part of why we thought they were going to be really good again last. Last year was their first year. They went 10-2. They returned everybody, of course.
And Barrett Fallon at running back has kind of been given some defenses fits.
Yeah. And I at the end of the day, when, and now I will say this. You're going to score on Davenport. They're not a defensive powerhouse. And
Calhoun's given up some points too.
Exactly. I was about to say, so this is going to be a high scoring game. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to pretend like I've watched a ton of film on this. I saw some of the Davenport Lavernia game. I saw some of the Davenport Beeville Jones game, but that game got out of hand so much. It was hard to really get anything. But I'm going to go with the Wolves. I just think they're going to out depth and out athlete the Sand Crabs. So I do think this will be a high scoring close game.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let me try to see what Coach X has to say. If he did he say that? Yeah, he did. Okay. Hard not to pick a San Antonio school because the city's relevance in the history of the greatest state in the world. But Port Lavaca are the Sand Crabs, and that's a kick-ass mascot. Hey, what are the girls' teams called? Are they called the Lady Crabs? Because that doesn't sound good. I think any San Antonio school should have to be the Defenders or the Freedom Fighters or the Crockett's or the Bowie Knives. How about the 18-pound Cannons? Badass. I think the Crabs win this game, though, and they get romped on by Chapel Hill. All right. So he thinks that he's the only one going with Port Lavaca. All right. That is Class 4A Division 1. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do it all again for Class 4A Division 2. So help me God. L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. Are you an athletic director or coach looking to make your locker room pop, looking to refresh your look, looking to redo your brand? Well, check out SI Design and Printing. They're going to transform your sports organization, athletic facilities into what you're looking for by enhancing the student athlete experience, boasting the brand, and honoring your past. They do that with banners, backlit signage, locker graphics, window graphics, fence mesh graphic designs, and so much more. If you need a refresh, SI Design is going to help you do that. Check them out online, sidesign.net. And hey, if you're a parent or a grandparent, they've got something for you as well, as SI Design is the leading provider of custom sports prints. They offer a variety of products, including posters, banners, canvases, and more. All you have to do is upload your high-quality studio or action shot, and SI Design will create the memory for you. For more information, all you have to do is go to their website, sidesign.net/sports prints, and you'll get all the information that you need. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in SI Design and Printing. Give them a call, 254-405-9492, or you can email them, info@sidesign.net, and tell Kyle that Sideline to Sideline sent you. You left the light in the camera, you knocked the camera over. It's the last show of the night. That's usually what happens. Hey, could you move that light over back towards you a little, please? Thank you, sir. And you knocked the camera back perfect. Good job. I know you didn't try to do that, but that was actually pretty dang awesome, brother.
Actually, I meant to do that.
You rim shot it and you did it perfect. You remember the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, McDonald's commercials, nothing but net, and they do all the crazy shots. You remember that? I guess you don't. Okay,
I guess.
Anyway. All right, we did Class 4A Division 1.
Who are these people you speak of?
Well, we were talking about age earlier.
I just generally don't talk basketball during football.
You have been to a Mav game. You pleaded for tree love because you went to the Mav game
and got no response from him.
Yeah, he did. He talked to you. That's how he ended up on the trip.
Dude.
Anyway.
Okay. No. He kept it on the trip because you begged him to go on the trip.
I did not.
I'll pack you in your tree bag.
You did.
And you can sleep with me.
You said that.
Okay.
The reason he slept with me is because you didn't snuggle with him in the first night and he was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, then he woke up. What did he say? Flocked?
I don't even know what the hell that means.
A flock tree, like white all over it?
I've never heard that term. How do you know
How do you not know what a flocked Christmas tree is?
Because I've never flocked one.
Oh, my God. Dude, you have a lot of living to do.
I never want to flock a tree. I feel like that's some things you don't do in life. And one of them is flock a tree or touch a deer's butt. Just saying. All right, let's go to Region 1, 4A Division 2 as we start things off. Canyon West Plains 12-1 versus Glen Rose 9-4. This game is 6 p.m. Friday, Wichita Falls Memorial Stadium. You know, you and I have talked about it all year, man. We felt at the end of the day, West Plains was going to come through this. I do feel that Glen Rose, man, usually they're a team, last year, 12-2, senior-laden class, probably should have beat Carthage. That's going to be one of those what-ifs of all time right there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and I know they feel, but give them credit. This is a young team. They only returned 2 offensive starters and 4 defensive starters, and I know some of it is the region has not been the strongest in 4A Division 2, but it doesn't matter. They're here. Big win over Seminole last week. After saying all that, I just still feel West Plains is the best team in this region.
I really do too. I mean, King Talent, a receiver for West Plains, has been. If there was a Heisman in 4A Division 2,
yeah,
would King Talent maybe not be on the first 5?
Because he does everything for them. He plays offense, he plays defense, return game. I mean, he is just one of those guys that one of the reasons why we love this level of sport or this level of football, get these guys like that can just do everything for you. And he's not even the only one. That's the thing about this team. As great as he is,
Jordy Hernandez at running back.
Yes, I was about to say, as much as you want to say, well, they rely on King Talent, and they do. He's great, but you look at Reed Macon at quarterback, Hernandez at running back, 1,800 yards, 26 touchdowns. I didn't even realize that earlier. That's just amazing. Talent on the year has 879 rushing, 879 receiving, 300 yards rushing. Reed Macon has just blown it up. A sophomore quarterback has thrown for 3,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, but this is the most important, only 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
You don't see even great sophomores, even in today's era of football, where we all talk about, I think it's easier for quarterbacks. I don't mean as a knock on quarterbacks. For a sophomore to only have 5 interceptions, that's just amazing right there. He's not a sophomore anymore. He's about a junior in playing level.
Yeah, I like West Plains too, but I will say this West Plains defense better be on par because
I think it's a
Evans,
high-scoring game.
Oh, yeah. Kenyon Evans at quarterback for Glen Rose has ridiculous stats. I mean, and then he's got really good receivers and Camden Raymond and Josh Gronig. I just think this Glen Rose offense can move the ball on just about anybody in Region 1, and they have. But I think Canyon West Plains is going to eke out the win here by like 4 to 7 points.
I think this is a high-scoring game because both teams have struggled defensively. As you're talking about,
I think West Plains has a little bit better defense.
I do too. You're talking about Kenyon Evans thrown for 30.
Now look out for Glen Rose next year.
Oh, yeah. And Evans is a junior. He's thrown for 3,800 yards, 42 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Running wise, they're built where they've got 4 different guys they can give the ball to. And they run to show. Mm-hmm. You know, or the old saying is you drive for show, you putt for dough. They run for show, they throw for dough. They're receiving. They've got a 1,300-yard receiver, a 970-yard receiver, and a 640-yard receiver. So both of these teams can score whenever they need to. Both of these teams, well, I say Canyon has struggled defensively, but when you really pull back the numbers, they really haven't. Estacado scored 34. Estacado could score on people.
Yeah.
Seminole scored 23. Everybody else has been held under. I mean, and again, one of the big knocks was how good this district was, but hell, Seminole played till last week. So, I just think Canyon's just a better all-around team, an older team. And we don't talk about that enough a lot, but the difference between a 17-year-old senior and a 15-year-old sophomore might only be 2 years in the calendars, but that's a completely different level genetically and through,
absolutely
all that stuff.
So we both have West Plains winning this game.
Yeah, we both have West Plains winning this game. Let's see what Coach X has to say. What a letdown here in Region 1. We've had Seminole, Monahans, Estacado, Polidoro, and we get the Region 1 finals, and it's Canyon West Plains versus Glen Rose. I feel like Glen Rose should be followed by the Price is Right sign when someone overbids. Dun, 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 wah. Glen Rose just sounds like the guy that got picked on a lot in high school. Hey, Glen Rose, give me your lunch money. But now Glen Rose has had enough, and he's taking his revenge. Coming to Memorial Stadium this Friday. Mark Wahlberg is Glen Rose, but West Plains wins. All right, I guess that makes no sense. All right.
He has West Plains too.
Somehow, yeah, and all that roundabout, he has West Plains. All right, let's go.
I wonder what playoff tree would have to say. What do you think?
Never showed you about this. Okay, playoff tree, what do you have to say?
Well, Terry, after you touching me down low, and Coach X being just, Coach X. Oh my God, the nights we had together. I really think that West Plains is going to beat Glen Rose, even though the times that Coach X and I spent together at Charlton, at Bullwinkle's, in that back bathroom, where he promised me to take me to Denny's. And then I did the deed, and then he just dropped me off and went home to the dorms and left me standing there at Denny's on the sidewalk. I'll never forget him. Give me West Plains, but Coach X, I hope you choke on a German sausage. I'm gonna go. And I'm going away until the next round. I can't help it. I will not be on the show until next week. Bye.
Thank God. All right. Let's try to go to Region 2. We've got Gilmer.
Denny's and Coach X.
I mean, that does track. That does track. All of that makes sense. Gilmer 10-3 versus.
I didn't even know there was a Denny's in Stephenville. That's a weird thing.
Well, back in the day, I think there was a Denny's everywhere. That's back when you could find
maybe in Mineral Wells, but I think
maybe.
I don't know.
Can we go to Region 2?
Yeah. Go.
Gilmer 10-3 versus Carthage 13-0. Friday 7 p.m. Tyler's Rose Stadium. Okay. We'll talk a little. We don't usually talk about the games last week other than just to mention them. But Carthage Pleasant Grove turned out to be the epic game we all thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It looked like Glenrose, looked like Pleasant Grove was, not in control, but there for a minute, it felt like they were about to be able to pull it off. But you always say it when you play a team like Carthage in this era, you've got to be 14-0 before you even start because they're going to find
make that 21.
Yeah, they're going to find points when they need to, and they found them at the end, and just they did what great teams do, and they pulled it out when it wasn't quite all was lost, but it felt like going into that fourth quarter that Pleasant Grove was in control of that game.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of things about officiating and whatnot. I don't know. I haven't not gone back and watched that game. I actually should have watched it before we came on air, but I'm going to watch it tomorrow night. But it sounds like Carthage maybe got a couple of calls. I don't know. It just sounds like, from what I hear, I don't know. That being said, I think Carthage is still the team to beat here in this region. KJ Edwards, Brandon Manning, Mikhail Fields, Jet Surratt at quarterback. I think Surratt will figure it out, is figuring it out. The defensive line for Carthage, Gilmer is going to be hard-pressed to be able to run the football with Will Henderson. Will Henderson will get a couple of long ones, right?
Yeah.
I think we just know that. But the defensive line for Carthage will pretty much snuff them out other than a couple of big plays. So I like Carthage in this one by 14 to 21 points.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got injuries like Carthage had in that game and some turnovers forced you to go to some different backs, and you have a sophomore scoring your 2 big touchdowns when you need, and that just shows you why Carthage is Carthage.
Yeah.
Look, Gilmer, I think Gilmer's ahead of schedule this year. This was a team that last year was 11-1 and kind of lost a good, Rohan Fluin, maybe one of the best secondary guys we've seen in our time covering this game.
Yeah.
But also Ashton Haynes and Braylon Ward and those. And this team with Caden Tennyson just kind of kept on keeping on.
Well, next year, Gilmer is going to be a defensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
They are going to make leaps and bounds, just progress on the defensive side of the ball. And Gilmer next year will be tough to score on.
The issue that you have when you play a Carthage, other than everything, is
name them.
Yeah, but
we don't have all night.
But the main one is like a lot of teams after playing that should have been state championship, as people say, and it being that classic, you might have a letdown the next week. That doesn't happen with Carthage, and especially against Gilmer. They have all the rivalry with Gilmer, and look, I hate to say it this way, but Carthage will name their own score in this one. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's a good matchup, and it's never a good matchup when you're playing them. So I don't mean that to offend any Gilmer fans, but we're calling it like we see it. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Hey, Division II state championship was last week when Carthage beat PG. Sorry, thanks for playing. See you next year. In fact, if you want to take the next 2 years off and just work on baseball and basketball, then that would be acceptable too. Carthage wins by 28. Okay, I agree with everything he said, except for maybe that the state division championship was last week, because in Region 3, we've got Belleville 13-0 playing Jasper 9-4. This game is at Shenandoah's Woodforest Bank Stadium, 7:30 Friday. All jokes aside about apparently when we go to a Belleville game in the playoffs, they just whip ass because I will tell you this. We have seen teams in a situation like that fold. We have seen teams no moss. Silsbee didn't do any of that. Silsbee was playing as hard as they could play. Silsbee has a lot of studs. Silsbee is a great football team. And Belleville just absolutely mashed them from play one. That defensive line for Belleville did anything they wanted. Silsbee never had good field position, never. And that's where the game was won, is Belleville constantly had them with their back against their own goal line. In fact, they had a safety. Or was it not? Oh, no, it is a safety. Oh, no, it's not. Changed three times. Basically, whenever he talked to one coach, he would change it. Go talk to the other coach and change it back. But other than that, I mean, Jesus, dude, this Belleville defensive line is one of the best defensive lines I've seen in this class.
Yeah, me too, in all times. I mean, DJ Sanders, defensive end, defensive tackle, you can play him as a one technique if they move into a different front. At all times, Belleville, if they're not getting complete like penetration, they're pushing a guy at least an offensive lineman at least half a yard into the backfield if they're not pushing them 3 yards back. And that stretches every play out, and no quarterback, no running back, no receiver, no nothing has a chance to actually get into a play because they disrupt everything every snap. Every snap is a disruption with this Belleville defense.
Exactly.
This Belleville defense is special. And we're not even talking about the offense with D.D. Murray, Corian Hood, Sam Renicky. I mean, these guys can get the edge in a second. It doesn't matter how fast your defensive is, because your defense can be the fastest defense known to man, and they are still getting the edge because they have everything sealed off and setting the edge really quick, that offensive line.
And I want to go back to the defensive line just for a minute, because this isn't a Silsbee team that had offensive line issues. This was a good Silsbee offensive line.
It's a darn good Silsbee team.
And, this, and we complained about West Orange Stark, and we felt that once the hitting, they just didn't want to be there. Silsbee, it wasn't like that. I mean, Silsbee was trying. It's just Belleville just outmatched them to the point where now, if they played that game 10 times, I think Belleville wins it 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10.
I think 10 out of 10.
And that's why I'm going to go back to
you cannot put an offense on the field against a Belleville defense and expect to have, no matter how talented you are, to have any positive plays. More than 5 positive plays in the whole game.
Yep. And I'm not saying they're going to beat Carthage if it gets there, but I just now feel that is a true contender.
Well, that is an epic matchup
if it happens, because hey, Jasper shut down Cuero's offense last week 28-7. I'm not surprised that Jasper won. We both went. I think we might have went Jasper. I am surprised that they held that
Cuero.
I think we might have both went Cuero, but I was impressed that they held that Natero offense to just 7 points.
Natero is Mason Natero,
the quarterback for Cuero.
Great quarterback, dual threat quarterback by Ty Anthony Smith, though, for Jasper, the linebacker.
And he can give Belleville some problems.
Ate his lunch.
He can give
he can give Belleville some problems, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if Jasper can move the ball consistently enough on Belleville. That's going to be where, to me, Belleville wins this game again.
And I still think Belleville gets the edge against this Jasper defense just enough. I still think Belleville wins by 3 touchdowns. And I think that's how good this Belleville team is.
I'm calling it now. There is going to be some moment in this game, the semifinals or state, if Belleville gets to it, where that quarterback is going to finally keep it, because you and I have now seen it on film. We've seen it live twice. Nobody respects him because he never keeps the ball. And would that not be the most thing to do against Carthage on
third and 1, 4th and 1?
Yeah, you're needing a score with a minute left, and by the way, he's great at the handling of the play, because they're doing the old school slot to you where it's left, right, and the ball has, at least when we've seen, has not hit the ground.
Yeah,
I mean, he does a good job of that. That offensive line. Somebody on Smokey was saying that they have a small offensive line. I think you've gotten used to only seeing the good teams. Belleville is not. I know their guard is listed at 220 or whatever, but Belleville's not a small offensive line, especially for 4A Division II.
And they move great,
and they move with precision in that slot too. I mean, guard. It's in sync. It's. I'm telling you, it's
athletic.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's just beautiful football, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Good Lord. I think Belleville just scored on Silsbee again. How cool is this game, though? They met in the middle, and they're playing in Shenandoah. We gain a lot of ground if we both give a little. Belleville's going to drop some dings and dongs on this one. They roll into the semifinals. Okay. That was pretty funny, Coach X. I'll give you that. All right, let's go now to the last one of the night. Region 4, Wimberley 13-0 versus Sinton 10-1. This game's Friday.
You sounded like Keith Jackson there.
That's why I was trying. That's what I was doing to do this.
All right, cool.
16 years and you just figured that out. God, nobody listens to me on this show.
Whoa, Nelly.
Friday at Van Orme's Southwest Legacy Stadium.
That's San Antonio.
Yes, it is. Hey, congratulations, Sinton. We're glad you're back in the region finally. Last couple of years, you'd struggled in that second and third round. Really nice to see you. Congratulations on the year. Wimberley's going to win this game. And I think I'm not going to say name their score. I think Sinton has a good enough offense, and they have. I was really impressed with their wide receiver core. We talk about Noah Birdsong on Wimberley, but man, as a complete wide receiver core, Jacoby James, Colby Hesselstein, Nick Flores, they're all really, really good. This is just a bad matchup for them because I'll tell you this: as much as we love Belleville, Wimberley to me is a toss-up game.
Not to me.
Okay.
I think Belleville wins that game. I think Wimberley wins this game against Sinton, but Belleville wins against Wimberley. There's nothing that shows me that Belleville will lose.
I just don't know if they're going to be able to move on that offensive line of Wimberley as much as they have everybody else.
I don't know.
But we're talking about a game that might not happen. Sinton might pull the upset.
Next
Jasper
week,
might pull the upset.
Maybe Playoff Tree will have a little bit of a
What?
Opinion on that maybe next week.
Oh, next week, yeah, because he said he cried and ran home. You're only this is actually a I can't think of the word now.
He is twinkling black
3D model. It's not real. What do you call that when you put up a picture and it's not real?
AI.
No, it's a
hologram.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goodwin.
Would you like to hear from
No, he said he was done for the night. He's done for the night. Yeah, that's what he said. I'm just going by what he said.
I just don't think you like Playoff Tree.
I think Playoff Tree is a little weird. But anyway.
Playoff Tree will kill you in his sleep.
What is your deal with killing everybody in the sleep tonight?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you've said that now 3 times.
No, Playoff Tree
No, you
said
yourself have said it. Not just Playoff Tree. You yourself have said it.
Playoff Tree said he would climb through your bedroom window and kill you with a buck knife.
You're really weird.
I didn't say that.
All right, let's see what
I'm on your side.
Let's see what Coach X has to say about this one. I have never picked against Wimberley except last year when they played Carthage, and I was crazy right on that one. Yet I'm always crazy right on all my picks. Infinitively better than Mike Duggs, dude that works for the Fort Worth Star Telegram. He's talking about Matt Diggs. Not picking against the Texans this week, though. Grant probably is. He's always all about Sinton. Sinton is the best, so much better. Like, what was that? This is supposed to be a recorded call. How did that happen? Can Coach X please finish? Sinton is the best, so much better than Carthage. We get it, Grant. You like Sinton. Damn, man. Texans win just like they do in life.
Hello, what is
what is that now? What is going on with my show?
Wait, I think we want to hear from Mrs. Coach X.
No, we don't want to hear from Mrs. Coach X.
She wrote a scathing thing about him.
We'll hear about that next week. What is his deal with you and Sinton, though?
I don't know. I
we love Sinton.
I like Wimberley way over Sinton.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's because I'm trying to retire down to Port Aransas.
Oh, that actually may be what he's talking about.
Yeah,
and Rita, one of our big friends, is from. We love her. She's from Sinton. One of our biggest fans. I don't know, but yeah, you've never been like Sinton. In fact,
no, never. You have, but I haven't.
I made one home run pick when they went 0-10 and said they'd go unbeaten the next year, and they actually did.
9 years in a row. Let's admit, yeah,
9 years in a row. I kept saying they'd go undefeated. I mean, in that region where they're at.
Okay, maybe 2 years, but not 9.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for this show. Thank God, I've never been so happier to end the show as I have been tonight. This was weird. Do not
keep this up in my ear because Playoff Tree and I are gonna listen to this. So just go.
Well, I got to.
We're gonna take a nap.
All right, we're gonna thank our sponsors. You got me so messed up now. SI Design and Printing, Small Town Society, Average Farms, and Jet Boats of Texas. We appreciate all them. We're gonna have some great advertising for the state championship games in a couple of weeks. By the way, if you don't know, we're gonna be doing live shows during the 2A, the 3A, and the 4A games. Intern Noah's gonna join me for one of those days. We got a bunch of coaches lined up that are gonna join us and talk during the game. So join us there. It'll be on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. You can find us on Facebook, Sideline. You can also follow us on Twitter at Grant and Terry. Email us, grantandterry@s2s4.com. Until the state semifinals, he's Grant, I'm Terry, and let's meet back here next week on the Class 4A show, brought to you by SI Design and Printing on L4 Media. Brian touches me at night.